Hello, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to our November 2025 book club discussion of Someone's Gotta Give, which I swear, you guys, I
So
love this
good.
book. I, s- I love this book, but I love Alicia Fernandez Miranda even more. And I'm so excited that she's joining us tonight. And I completely jumped over the introduction. So, for
That's all
our
right.
new
Backtrack.
members, we're so excited. And she's joining us from Scotland. So it's like, woo! For our new members, welcome. We did recently hit 40,000 members. So, welcome to our new members. My name is Lisa Harrison, and I'm with my beautiful co host, Brenda. And we are just beyond excited for this book club discussion. So, I'm going to be quiet and let Brenda introduce our special guest.
Okay. I absolutely it will. I'm so excited too for our November 2025 book club featuring Alicia Fernandez Miranda. So, Alicia is an award-winning Cuban American author. Her first book, the memoir My What If Year, was a best new book in People magazine and the Boston Globe. Her writing has been published in Vogue, Marie Claire, Shondaland, and numerous other publications. Alicia is the current chair of IG Advisors, a leading social impact agency that consults the world's biggest nonprofits, including the Gates Foundation, Ford Foundation, and UN Women. Alicia is a graduate of the London School of Economics and Harvard University and speaks regularly on women's empowerment, social impact, and sustainability. She currently lives in Scotland with her husband and children. Welcome, Alicia.
Hi. Oh.
Okay, it's so good I went on mute for that intro because I was laughing. I was just giggling here. It was just delightful.
Well,
Welcome,
we
welcome, welcome.
welcome and thanks so much for accommodating our book club schedule.
I am beyond honored to be here. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I have planned my whole day to have the optimal energy for this period of time. So I've been useless to everybody else in my house for the rest of the day, but right now you're getting peak Alicia, so it's all good.
Oh, yay,
So,
lucky us.
what
Oh,
time is it for you for those that don't
It
know?
is just after midnight, so I'm in the future. It's
You're
Tuesday
in
here.
the future.
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. So far, so good.
right. Oh, well, just a word for our book club members who are joining us tonight. As we begin, please be sure to put your questions in the chat for Alicia. And as always, we're spoiler free for the first 15 minutes. So that means 7:15 our time.
Woo.
We will hit it with the spoilers. So for those though, Alicia, who haven't read the book, could you give us a summary that's spoiler free?
Spoiler-free summary, absolutely. So, Someone's Gotta Give is the story of Lucia, and Lucia is a new mom, a new wife, and a new expat who has just moved to London after a whirlwind romance with her handsome British husband. And she was a fundraiser her whole life. She has really strongly driven by purpose, and she sort of finds herself at the beginning of the book a little bit unmoored. She's in this new country. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she doesn't quite know what to do. So she gets a job advising the rich and powerful at London's poshest private bank. And she has to figure out how to navigate that world, this world of being a working mom and being a new wife, and all of these things that she is to so many people. Without losing herself in the process and at very fancy, glamorous places. So, yeah, that's shenanigans all over the place.
That's right, with very fancy handbags and very fancy jewelry.
Oh, the dream. I wish I had Lucia's handbag collection.
Oh my
No
goodness.
kidding.
I just want to spend like a day in the closet.
Ugh, wouldn't it?
That
Wouldn't it
would
just be
be
Of
amazing.
a of a person like that. That's right. Well, I love this book, Alicia. It as you said, it revolves around the ultra rich and their charitable giving. And Lu, 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 Lucia's search for belonging while struggling with motherhood and trying to do it all. I think that it really captured the struggle that so many people are facing. But I was fascinated by the glimpse into the world of philanthropy. And of course, from your bio, we know that you have lived it. So could you share how you utilized your professional background in the story?
Yes, I just took every real story from my life and I changed the names and I called it a novel. No, just kidding. Any lawyers are
Oh
listening?
yeah, I want to know
Definitely
which
not
Yeah.
one.
prince was.
I mean, they
Um,
can't sue you if it's fiction, right?
exactly. I've signed too many NDAs, non-disclosure agreements to ever write a memoir. I really love and am constantly fascinated by this world that I have professionally had the great privilege to be a part of for the last 20 years, which is this world of philanthropy and people coming together to do good in extraordinary ways, and also all these weird things that happen in it, like the fact that you will sometimes go to a conference about climate change and people will have come on their private jets to get there. Like it's a really strange, crazy world. And so it just felt like the perfect setting to put this story that I wanted to tell about this woman who feels like a fish out of water in so many different ways. And so, it was very, as you guys might know, and as you mentioned in my bio, I wrote a memoir first, my What If Year. And so I was used to writing about myself. There it is, my first baby. Don't tell my actual babies that. They're important too. But I was used to writing about myself and I was used to writing about reality. And so at the very beginning, as I was transitioning to writing fiction, like a lot of the things that I was thinking of were based on experiences that had happened to me in real life in this world. But through the 11 drafts of this book that it took to get to
Wow.
publication, uh, I think that things started to serve the story as opposed to the other way around. But there are definitely a lot of tiny little Easter eggs in there, which are absolutely real things I have done or have happened in my life. And lots of the feelings and emotions that I feel about being in that world, I certainly channeled into Lucia.
Love that. And just to kind of piggyback off that, could you also speak to your desire to include characters like yourself in fiction and how it differed? Me and Brenda both are
We
so
are having trouble.
excited. We cannot. You would think it's midnight our time.
Where is it
We're
midnight?
literally,
Yeah, right.
we
Alicia's doing
usually
great.
speak very well.
Thank
Both of
you.
us are like,
It's been
plus,
eight,
plus,
it's
plus.
been 8 minutes
Brenda.
and I'm still awake, so we're good.
I'm going to start again. Could you speak to your desire to include characters like you in fiction and how it differs from your memoir, My What a Fear?
So this is like an important question actually that we're not going to giggle about because I love fiction. Fiction is like my go-to. That is what I read for fun. It's what I've always read for fun. I have been a really avid reader since I was a little kid, and I used to go to the library many times a week, and I would devour series like The Babysitter's Club and Sweet Valley Twins, and then Sweet Valley High when I got a little more mature,
Yeah.
as the twins aged out. And I loved those books, but I never could really see myself in those books. I'm Cuban American. I grew up in Miami. I didn't live in Connecticut or like these very, beautiful places that all these girls grew up. And no one ever had brown hair in those books. And now I am, blondish, but this is not natural any longer. But I just, that was always something that I had thought about or wanted or kind of reflected on. And so um, I had this experience when I was working on my memoir of uh, people kind of questioning this story that I was telling about myself, my true story, and whether or not, it was like an authentic enough story. And I actually remember speaking to an agent as part of the process before I had signed on with an agent for my What If Year. And he said to me, okay, well, this is fun, but like, where's the trauma? And I was like, well, I'm very lucky. Like didn't have a lot of trauma in my childhood. I have great parents who I love. And, that's really not what this story is about. And he said, well, when we do own voices or diverse stories or immigrant stories, people usually expect there to be some trauma in there. And I was like, well, that's not my authentic experience. I want to tell my story and I'm going to tell my story. So
Right.
needless to say, that guy did not become my agent. And then when I was working on this
And he,
book,
rightfully so. Like,
I mean, it was
as people
it's
of
a
color,
mutual understanding.
we can be happy too. Like we have our own experiences. It's
Exactly,
not all trauma
exactly.
and bad. Yeah.
My What If Year was a coming of age story at 40 and also like a joyful story. I wanted it to be a joyful story and I wanted this to be a joyful story. And so I wanted to tell a story about a Latina heroine, which you don't see nearly enough of in fiction, but also like I wanted her to be a little bit older. I wanted her to be married with a job and a kid because the other thing I see a lot of and love reading and enjoy are these like beautiful coming of age stories about like 20 somethings like just finding their feet in life, and I love those stories. I was that person, but I believe that people are still coming of age when they are in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s and their 60s and beyond. And so I wanted to tell stories that I wasn't seeing. And so that was really important to me when writing this book. And I also just wanted to tell stories that I was going to enjoy. So it was very selfish, actually. I'm glad you enjoyed it too, because mostly I was just writing for myself.
So just to follow up on that, because I don't remember whether I read this, was my What If Year was your first published um product, but did you have fiction prior to that? Did you write
No.
fiction? Okay.
Yeah, so I
So
wrote a very, very compelling short story called Sleepover in Maui. I was 8 years old and I wrote about like I
I
like
love it.
listed out my like 10 best girlfriends and we all went to a big house in Maui and the whole story was just like what we wore every day, what we ate every day, and like we went and swam with dolphins. It's the worst story. I mean, it was good for being, 8 or however old
Hey,
I was. But that was it. I didn't have a writing life or experience. I had never ever written fiction before I started working on Someone's Gotta Give. And I hadn't written creatively when I started working on my What If Year for 20 years, probably. So
that's
it's all
amazing.
new.
That's so cool.
Just think
Sleepover in
that's
Maui
so
is available
fascinating.
in PDF, by the way, in case anybody wants it. Just feel free to reach
Yeah.
out
Are you
on Instagram.
I was
are you going to
literally like,
add that to your bonus content on
yeah.
Cocktail recipes and the worst short story written by an 8-year-old ever.
and is it illustrated? That's what I want to know.
It was like clip art. There's clip art because it was like the very early days. We had like one of those giant computers at school. And so it is
Yes.
illustrated with clip art. That's all I can tell you.
It's so funny.
Okay.
So I have a question about your path to publication. Like we know that you're with Zibby Books. So and you mentioned there was 11 revisions of this book. So how long did it take for you to get to the first publication for My What If Year? And then was it a shorter process for this book, your second book, or how did that work?
That's a great question. There was a lot more writing for this book for sure, a lot more drafts and a lot more revisions. And in large part, I think that was down to my wonderful editor, Corey Hunter, who I worked with for Someone's Gotta Give. My path to publication was both parts of it were like extremely typical, and then parts of it were a bizarre Cinderella story, never to be repeated. But when I had sort of finished the draft for my What If Year with absolutely zero experience ever writing books or ever thinking that this book would be published, I started querying agents like people do, just cold. Like I had kept a spreadsheet of every book that I had enjoyed reading and that felt similar to that book. I had written down who those people's agents were. I was looking across the US and the UK, and ultimately I queried 41 different agents before I signed with my agent, who was the only person that wanted to represent me of the 41. So let's just be totally honest there. So I had a lot, it was a lot of just hard graft and plenty of rejection and a lot of ghosting. Um, but as my husband always likes to remind me, you only need one. And so I had my agent and we did a round of revisions. And I had met Zibby sort of virtually through the pandemic because as I was working on my What If Year, I had been given the advice that it was a good idea to kind of just try to get published like somewhere. So I submitted an essay that was a piece from the fitness section of the book to her website that she used to have, which used to be called Moms Don't Have Time to Write, and it was publishing essays. And I sent it in, and within 24 hours, I got a personalized email back from Zibby being like, "Who are you? What is it? What's happening? What is this book? Like, let's get on a Zoom and let's talk." So she just became a great advocate for my work and a great champion. And so I signed with this agent, and we were getting ready to go out on submission for my What If Year. And I got a one-line email from Zibby, which said, I'm starting a publishing company and I want to publish your book. Have you sold your book yet to anybody? So that was like the Cinderella part because that doesn't ever happen to anybody. And at that time, she didn't know if she was going to be an imprint or her own company. There was no team on board. There was no editorial staff. So it was a real leap of faith to kind of, just jump in that direction. But I'm so glad I did. And so when I was writing my What If Year, the publishing company was also starting. So everything was in super startup mode at the time. We had, I think
Wow.
between I signed my contract and when we put the book to bed, there were 4 months, maybe 3 months. And the editing was fairly hands off at that point, and there was a lot else going on. So I just kind of thought like this is what you write a book and then you do like a couple drafts and then the book's done. I was like, oh well, this is absolutely fine. And so when it came to writing fiction, that was a big step up for me. Just I had no experience doing it. I needed to learn a lot. And so I had submitted the book to the Zibby team, and they came back and they were like, "This is a great start, but it's not a home run yet," were the words they used. And so would you be willing to work with us on some of this? And I was like, absolutely, I'm here to learn. And so we went through a few drafts together. They acquired the book. Corey started with the firm and she became my editor. And Corey and I spent about not quite a year, maybe a full year together, just revising this book. And I say this to her face, I say this behind her back, like Corey taught me how to be a novelist. It was basically like a personalized MFA from her. We went through so many revisions. She taught me so much. It was an amazing, amazing process.
I
That's
love
so
it.
awesome. I know,
Yeah.
that's so great. And I just want to point out it's now 7:17, so we are past the
All right.
spoiler-free zone. We
Woo!
can dig in. We've got
I've not done a
questions.
single book event where I have talked spoilers about this book, so this is big for me.
Oh,
Yay!
wonderful.
We've got a couple of questions in the chat. Oh, the chat's exploding with hearts right now. There's lots of love in the chat. Everyone loves the book.
Oh,
They
thanks,
love
Kat.
the topic. There's so much love. We can send you the link later if you want to
Please
go
do.
back and look at it. Yeah. So one of the questions that we have from Edie, she would like to know, do you have a Melissa in your life?
Do I have a Melissa in my life? I don't think I have anybody who has so egregiously betrayed me to my face that I can think of. Now I'm like, wait, do I have a
You're
Melissa in
like,
my life?
do
I like
I?
I like to like keep a list of little enemies. I think enemies keep you healthy, just like, micro not big enemies, little enemies. No, I cannot recall a situation where somebody has really stabbed me in the back like that, personally, fortunately. But I have met a lot of people like Melissa in the sense that they come to this world with the best intentions and they get kind of ground down by how hard it is to stay really true to your North Star when you're constantly
Mhm.
being forced to compromise your values and being asked to do different things. And it's a very it's a world, the world of philanthropy and the nonprofit world is both extraordinarily generous and unique and purpose driven in the fact that nobody goes into this business for the money. People go into this world because they want to do some good. But at the same time, it is full of an extraordinary amount of money and privilege that complicates things and changes them. So while I do not have a full-on backstabber that I can think of, but we'll see by the time we get to the end of this, I may have remembered somebody. I definitely have met people who I have seen go through that process of really getting lost in terms of where they wanted to go in order to make something fit within a mold that they maybe weren't typically part of, or they give up some of their ambitions or their dreams or their values in order to achieve what they think they want. And I think it tends to be a deal with the devil most of the time. Like you don't usually end up
Yeah.
getting the thing you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a great question from Edie. I kind of have the flip side of that as my first question in the spoiler period. I just felt so much for Lucia in the story because she was under such scrutiny at at home and at work, but she did find a found family of friends. And so there was obviously Suze, who I absolutely loved and who
Love
just
Suze.
stayed true to herself through the whole book. But there was Tristan and Rona and even Henry. So I was wondering, what do each of these characters represent for you as you played them out through the book?
Such a great question. So I think that there is one element of them all that I think represent these different elements of this world of doing good, right? So I think that they are in some ways archetypes of people that I have met, people that I have come across, people that I have worked with who are approaching this idea of doing some good in the world in very different ways. And I think that's one of the most fascinating things for me in my 20 years in philanthropy is that everybody sort of agrees about the things that need to be done or the world we want to see or the goals within some, some distinctions, but for the most part, there's lots of things that people agree on. But where they vastly disagree is how to get there and how best to achieve what they want to achieve. And that causes all kinds of tension. So you get people like Tristan and like Celeste, who are so focused on you just need to amass as much power as you possibly can. You get the money, you get the power, you work the big investment banking job for a minute, and then you can retire when you're 50 and you can give it all back and do that. And there's a lot of people who approach the way they think about wanting to give back in that way. Then you get people like Suze who are like, actually, if you're doing damage on the way to getting to the good, is it really worth it in the end? And then you get people like Henry. Henry and Rona, I love both of those characters. And Tamsin, love Tamsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
And
characters.
they're
Yeah.
all coming from this place where they have come into money or inherited money. And that comes with a lot of benefits, but also it comes with a lot of responsibilities and things that feel challenging for them to deal with in a really unique way. So they all kind of are these different parts of this ecosystem. But at the same time, I think they also represent for me these like wonderful British and international people that I have been able to meet and interact with in my life. I've been an expat for 18 years. I've lived in the UK for a long time now. I've met some incredible friends. I have also been lonely. I have also been in my dressy leggings at the library, like trying to make friends with other moms and not being able to. But I have, the way that those different characters in their own different ways sort of bring Lucia into their world and accept her into their world and throw her that, hand of friendship, I think is also something that happens all the time. When you move to a different place, you kind of find your people and they may be totally different from the people that were your people back at home, but you can find your people. And so I think they do that for her too.
Well, that's fantastic.
I have a couple of questions from the chat. Lisette would like to know, well, first she said she loved the chapter titles. I did too.
Thank you.
So, can you talk about the thought process when creating those?
Okay, so I'm like a really huge Gilmore Girls fan. For anybody that's ever seen my Instagram, it's like one of my three hobbies. It's like writing, travel, and Gilmore Girls are the things that I spend the most time on really in my life, much to the chagrin of my poor family. But so Gilmore Girls, they title every episode so perfectly. Every episode's title, it's sometimes a little bit funny, and they've like become iconic, those titles. So when I'm titling a chapter, I like it to say a little bit what's happening in the chapter. If there's a little joke or a word, sometimes I'm often thinking about something else I've watched or seen or read, and in homage to that, there's a chapter title going on there. I would say that I do it pretty quickly. Like I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. It kind of just like I'm like, oh, do you know what this reminds me of? This song I heard or this line from this thing. And so I magpie a lot, I think, with chapter titles, but I do think about them and I'm glad you enjoy them because I enjoy writing them. So thank you.
They're great. And then, kind of along those lines, Maria said in chapter 22, Off to the Races, she said that was super funny. And she wanted to know if you've met Colin Firth or what famous person have you met?
Celeb time. Okay, so Off to the Races that chapter came fairly late in the writing process in this feeling that I needed more. I needed like she needed to go somewhere else glam. Do you know what I mean? She like gets back from the island, she does the birthday party. She's going to France. That's pretty glam, but that's a family trip. Like I wanted one more just like British experience. And so um and Ascot is a hilarious place because everybody gets very, very dressed up. And there are different tiers in terms of where you get to sit. And depending on how much you paid for your ticket, there's different areas. And depending on what area you're in, there's different dress codes. And it goes all the way up to the royal enclosure. And you can just buy a ticket. And what is the same is that almost very few people actually go because they care about the horse racing. People go to look at the hats and they get very drunk, like in the middle of the day, which tends to be a theme at a lot of these British daytime events that you go to. So I wanted a little Ascot chapter. So that got added in kind of late. And I really loved that chapter. Colin Firth, dare I say true love of my life? I think my husband is asleep, so it's probably fine for me to say that. Man,
We
I
won't tell.
don't tell him. I just think he's like, Colin Firth in Pride and Prejudice, Colin Firth in Bridget Jones' Diary. So I'll tell you my meeting Colin Firth story because it's great. And my mom, who's listening on this call, is part of this story. So
Hey, Mom.
I say
Hey,
hi.
Alicia's
Hi,
mom.
Mindy. Hi, Mindy.
I lived I came to London before I moved here. I came to London as a student. I worked at a pub in Leicester Square, which is it's like the Times Square of London. It's a very touristy area, but it's where all the big movie theaters are. So whenever you see a movie premiere happening in London, it's happening around Leicester Square. And so I worked at this pub, and someone had come in one day and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. There's like a movie premiering outside. That's why I'm late." And I said, "Oh, what movie is it?" And I think I can't even remember. Was it Hope Floats? It was Colin Firth was in it with Heather Graham and like a couple other people. This would have been 2003. And somebody said, "This is some Colin Firth movie." And I was like, I got it. I'm taking my 20. Like I zipped out, threw my apron to the side, didn't care if I got fired, ran out in my pub uniform to the place where people line up to get celebrity autographs, around the fence. And I kind of like muscle my way to the front a little bit. And so Colin Firth, bless him, is going around person by person and not just signing autographs. And this is like also pre-smartphones. So people are not snapping a bunch of pictures. There's like people have a headshot with an autograph, and I have nothing at all except my flip phone and a dream. So he's making his way around, and God, he's so handsome. And I'm just like, this is the greatest day of my life. And finally, he gets like three people over from me, and a publicist comes and pulls him away. So I'm thinking, devastated, but also I got so close to him. So what do? I pick up the phone and I call my mother on my flip phone using my calling card, which I needed at the time. I'm like, "Oh my God, Mom, you're never going to believe what just happened. I'm at this premiere. Colin Firth is right there. I was just talking to him and oh wait, he's here. He's coming back." Colin Firth comes back and he comes up to me and he says, "Who are you talking to on the phone?" And I said, "I'm talking to my mom. She's in Miami right now." And so he's like, "Give me the phone." So he takes the phone from me. He says, "Hello, Mom. What's the weather like in Miami right now?" And I'm freaking out. And I can hear my mother, like, I can hear the little high pitch in her voice. I know she's freaking out. Colin Firth has the loveliest conversation with my mother. I was like, "I have nothing to sign, but you've made my whole life." He just asks what I'm doing in the UK. Like, we're like normal people chatting, and he's not Colin Firth. And then he goes into his movie premiere. And I mean, does it get any better than that?
That's amazing. And Maria, I'm so glad you asked that question because that's such a
It's
great
a never
story.
before told story, Maria. You got the exclusive on this.
That's right. You got it right here. I don't know how we're
That's
going to follow that up, to
awesome.
be honest. Um,
He's just great and so handsome. So handsome.
and
And a
then
nice
He is
guy.
handsome.
did you just waltz back into the,
Yeah, then I had to go back to work after that, but like on cloud nine. And everybody
Yeah.
that came to the pub that day, I was like, guess who I just met? Guess who I just
he talked to my mom.
He talked to my mom on the phone.
That
We're
was,
besties now.
that's
Colin,
so
That's
if you're
funny.
amazing.
watching this, thank you. Thank you for that. You really just made my whole life.
That's so funny. Well, we won't tell your husband, so we'll just bleep all of that out. Um, but speaking of husbands, I just had to ask a little bit about Ollie because Lucia had her, insecurities and issues with, finding friends and all of this stuff. But I was on the struggle bus with Ollie at the beginning because he just didn't have a clue what she was going through as a new mom. And, and then I will eventually get to a question. I'm sorry, but and then
No, keep going. I love this.
he just seemed totally clueless that Belly was insulting her at every turn, and I just thought, does this man have a brain? And I know he's a good guy. She says he's a good guy, but I'm just struggling with it. So my question is, and feel free to take off in any direction, but my question is, had you figured out that he was going to be a good guy in the end and not a cheater, or was that up in the air as you were writing?
I'm going in the direction of the struggle bus here with you, Brenda, because here's something so funny. Ollie is the most polarizing character in this book. And it is hilarious to me that every event I go to, somebody will either say, Ollie was such an amazing husband. Tell me why you wanted to write such a great husband. Or Ollie was so clueless and he drove me insane and I don't know what to happen. And it's like, I think that you could probably run a psychological study on people or like an assessment of like what their expectations are in a marriage based on how people have reacted to him because it has been so funny to me the completely polar opposite different opinions people have had towards him. So I knew he was going to be a good guy in the end because I think Ollie is a good guy. Like I think that
Yeah.
he reminds me of so many wonderful men that I know and so many wonderful husbands that I know who are really trying their best and would be kind of devastated if someone told them that maybe they weren't clued in or being supportive or recognizing what was happening in so many
Yeah.
ways. And I think that that is a real thing. I think that that experience in a traditional heterosexual home where you have the wife staying home for a while and the husband going back to work, you know, that becomes like a black box in the house. And I think this, I remember these like monotony of my days, this feeling of just like, is it 4 o'clock yet? Like, can I, like, is it time for my next cup of tea? Is it time for the next thing? You know, there was so much that just felt so difficult. And I would just wait for my husband to get home from work. And then he would get home from
Mhm.
work and he's been working all day. He's been talking to people and chatting. And also he's had a busy day, but he like didn't understand. He just didn't understand what was happening. And it wasn't,
Mhm.
and I think that Ollie is like that. It's not necessarily that he is totally oblivious. I think it's hard to understand. And it's also a little bit that Lucia is not very good at the beginning of the book at saying what she needs and what she wants
Yeah.
and how she's feeling. And I liked the idea of putting them at the beginning of their relationship where you're still like maybe getting out of bed in the morning to brush your teeth and put your lipstick on and then getting back into bed and lying down to be like, huh, I just woke up like this. This is amazing. Because that's a really special time in a relationship. But if you had a kid in there, like that becomes really complicated. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
I
was
I
so
think
fast.
and it was so
Mhm.
fast. And that was, kind of part of it, this whirlwind, and her life changes so quickly. And so I think that he is a good guy. And I also think the point about Belly, who's another character I really loved, love to hate Belly, just like love to hate her.
Yes, we need to talk about her too.
Love to hate Belly. Love her little barbs. But I also think that sometimes if you are not the British sense of humor can be very pointed, it can be barbed, like
Mm,
it can be
Mm.
mean. It can be mean. Sometimes my kids who are growing up in a British environment will say things and I'm like, that's like a mean thing. Like I know you guys think that's funny, but it's mean. And so I think that there is an element of him being totally oblivious to how someone who
mhm.
hasn't grown up like that feels coming into this situation and not doing the
Yeah.
work to think about how different she is and how different it would be for her, and even to almost reflect that some of these things are hurtful. And he just doesn't
Yes.
know. And he should know better. He's a grown man, but he doesn't know better. He learns, he grows. We like him for that. But I think
Ew.
like team Ollie, like team anti Ollie. Like these are my two. Like I want to know how many people. Maybe I'll run a poll at some point.
Ooh, let's do a poll
Ollie,
with
Let's
our
do
book
it.
club
Let's do it.
members.
I'm so
yeah,
curious.
in the chat, let us know how you felt about Ollie. Were you team Ollie? Were you team anti Ollie? For me, I knew he was a good guy all along. I kind of just chalked it up to cultural differences in a way too, because it's like,
Totally.
they're just different. Like the part for me, the only part where I was like, okay, Ollie, I've been with you this whole time, and now you piss me off. No, not really piss me off, but like it was the part when Belly said she wanted to do a play date with the nanny. And I was like, and he's like,
Ugh.
wasn't that so nice? And I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't think I'm not
It is so
I'm not good
rude.
enough to be I can't have a play date with Belly, but I can have a play date with her nanny. Like, do you not
And I
see
could
what's
call
happening
the
here?
nanny.
And
That was the
I've been
only
called the
part where I
nanny.
was like, okay, come on now. But for the most, I thought Ollie was a good. I was Team Ollie.
Team
I
Ollie.
mean,
All
you
right.
can't have
Team
a
Ollie.
perfect guy. You can't have a perfect guy.
No, that would be boring.
But yeah, that would be too boring. So I thought he was good. I thought he was. I love that he wanted to learn Spanish. I
Oh
love
no, he
that
tried so hard.
he
Well,
tried
yeah,
so
I
hard,
did.
and it was so sweet. And his mother too, that was a whole nother,
Oh,
Oh,
Moira.
yeah.
yeah, Moira,
Early
that was
drafts
a
of this
whole
book
nother.
had a lot more Moira in it. Really,
Really?
yeah. It had a whole, there was a big, like, there was a big scene at the end, like almost like a reconciliation scene where Moira sort of tells her that she really respects what she does. She gets this moment of closure with her mother-in-law, and they kind of try to hug, and it's very awkward, but they sort of have this moment of mutual respect for each other, and it just got lost as different plots changed and different things kind of had to come up, and so it didn't get cut for any particular reason, but I liked that I liked having Lucia as this working mom feeling like she was never going to live up to this perspective of this, idyllic stay-at-home mom who always did everything for her kids, and that's what Ollie grew up with. And Moira then coming at the end and kind of feeling like in ways she also wished she had been able to have the experience and fulfillment outside of the home that Lucia had had, especially as her kids got older and her husband died. And I thought that was really interesting to have them like connect in that way. But that did lie. Moira in my head reminds me. We once had a party at our house, and we hired a Queen Elizabeth impersonator to come to the party and greet all our guests at the door.
That's
And she
amazing.
didn't really look very
That
much
is
like Queen
amazing.
Elizabeth, but she was great. And that's like that woman, that Queen Elizabeth impersonator. She was who I pictured when I thought of Moira in my head when I was writing.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Oh, we have a strong presence in the chat.
Ooh.
So
okay.
we've got a lot of, okay, one said Ollie was a dunce. Then we've got love Ollie. Team Ollie, Team Ollie. Four more Team Ollies. Barbara's team anti Ollie. She said, I didn't
Okay.
think he was a cheater, but he was so oblivious. Leslie, Ollie was so frustrating.
Do you see what I mean?
Peggy
It's like
says,
I love it. I love
Well,
it.
the two of us
Controversy.
were
Peggy
took
says
him
Team
differently
Ollie,
because
but Team Ollie, but she agrees with Lisa that she felt it to be a cultural difference. And then Leah's Team Ollie, Tara's Team Ollie, and Susan is Team Ollie.
All right. So I think Ollie's
So
coming on the top a little bit
I think
here.
he's coming out on top
But I
so
did an
far.
event last week in at Bicester Village, which is outside of London, and my conversation partner, an incredible philanthropist named Sonal Sachdev Patel, was talking about Ollie, and she asked a question about him, and she started out by saying, she said, "I just love Ollie," and someone in the audience gasped. They went like they couldn't believe she said that, and I was like,
Like,
"This is the drama I've been waiting for, you guys."
that's so funny. That is so funny. Oh,
oh, well, I have a quick question, and I don't know if there's any more in the chat, but I was curious because you mentioned, you know, finding your way writing those things. What was the funniest thing to write, and what was the most difficult scene wise?
Okay, so the funniest thing, just every time Tristan hits the page, I just love like a snarky one-liner. Like a snarky character is my
yeah.
favorite thing to write in anything I write. Every time he came on, I could hear his voice in my head. And I write a lot at the library. It's my favorite writing spot. So I go to the National Library, which is a beautiful, beautiful space here in Edinburgh. And I would like that's when I'd be writing Tristan's. I'd be like laughing out loud writing those lines. It's so much fun. Belly too, when Belly gets her little insults in. And there is one line in the Christmas chapter actually that I gave to Lucia where she was saying that she would do a triathlon, which I think was like eating, sleeping, and drinking or something like that. And I'm like, I want to make a t-shirt that says that. Like that was really just fun. I love this. I love the humor. I love the snark. Um, the hardest the hardest thing to write, truthfully, was getting at Lucia as a fully realized character was the thing that
Ooh.
took the longest, for sure. I went through several passes of this book where I was just specifically looking at Lucia. So I would go through the book, and every time she was thinking something or saying something or doing something, really making sure that it felt consistent with this character that I had built. Because I think that the hardest part, just in general, is like all the side characters kind of came easier, but because Lucia was a little bit like me, she had followed a similar path to me, I had just written a memoir. I was like, I knew she needed to be different from me and sit outside of me. But that took that learning process of like how to write a character that's not me but who is a fully realized character who people can root for and be angry with. And all of those things took many, many drafts to really get right. And I feel really happy with where she ended up. I love her. I think when people tell me, I had somebody say to me early in my book tour, they were like, I just was so sad when I finished because it meant that Lucia wasn't in my life anymore. And I was like, that's just, you could not pay me a higher compliment. But it took a while. It took a lot of effort. I got great feedback about when it wasn't working. I had to spend a lot of time really learning how to craft a character that sat completely outside of myself and that was fully formed. And so that was definitely the toughest, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, you definitely did it. I have to say, my
Yes.
favorite Lucia moment was when she actually was able to pull off the fake donation for the royal family, and she's talking with the publicist in America and putting on her worst accent for
The best.
Celeste, and it just cracked me up.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
That was so fun to write. And I will tell you that the end changed very little. Like the end is one of those last few chapters were pretty consistent from even the earliest drafts of books. Like I always knew how I wanted it to end. I always knew I wanted her to pull that bait and switch on them and just put on the worst Pepe Le Pew French accent and managed to convince somebody that she was actually Celeste. Like I always knew that that was what I wanted her to do.
That's amazing. That's so good. Um, One of the things, we had a couple of questions about this, so I want to make sure I get this in because I cannot believe how quickly our hour is
I
flying by.
know.
What advice would you give someone who wants to start a career in philanthropy?
Well, gird your loins right now. No, I mean, look, I think it's not an easy time. It's to be in this space, I think. Nonprofits are always having to do more with less. That just seems to be the trajectory that they always end up in. And now they are being asked to do even more with even less. And so that's kind of the two sides of the philanthropy space are the giving away money side and then the taking the money and doing great things with it. So I think that it is a challenging time. And even established philanthropists and philanthropies, the world is shifting and changing in ways that are making it more challenging to do what they do. I think that if you want to work in that world, I do recommend it. It is an incredibly fulfilling job to be able to help create those relationships. The job that Lucia does is creating these relationships between people who have so much that they want to give and organizations and people who need it. Um, I think it is because it's such a desirable job, the jobs are few and far between. And so it can be really challenging to break into the world. It's easier to get your second job in philanthropy than your first job in philanthropy. But I think there's lots of different ways I would answer this question, sort of based on where people were coming from. But I do think that getting some experience in understanding how nonprofits work is really crucial to being good at a job in philanthropy, whether you are advising philanthropists or whether you are actually working within a foundation. And so if you're working in a totally different sector, then maybe you are a banker or a doctor or something else, you need to understand the nonprofit sector. And the great thing is there are so many ways to do that that are free and easy that don't even involve you having to leave your current job. So start to understand the sector that you're interested in. Can you volunteer? Are they looking for board members to come on and help and be part of their board? Are there ways that you can really start to see how this works as an organization? Because a lot of people feel great about the work that they do. They feel passionate about a cause. They have had something in their personal life that has made them really care. But you can't really understand what that day in, day out is like working at a nonprofit until you actually get in there and do it. And there are great ways you can do that as a volunteer, and there are great ways you can do that as a board member or trustee. And then once you kind of have that knowledge and understanding, that really positions you to take all of the skills you've learned in whatever other job you've done and translate them into philanthropy. But I think that to be great at this job, to do it well, you have to understand nonprofits, the struggles that they face every day, and how they do their work, and what motivates people and what keeps them awake. That's the difference between great philanthropists and philanthropists who are just throwing money at lots of different problems, is the people who take the time to understand and listen to the nonprofit sector. So if you want to work in that world, that's probably the first place I would start.
Awesome.
Well, that's a great explanation. I will say before I read this book, I had not given a lot of thought to how
Mhm.
some of the more high profile, individuals and foundations decide, where to spend their money. And they can be so impactful because there is so much of it. And then on the flip side, there are so many people asking for it.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's not always easy. Even if you have lots and lots of it, it can be really difficult to figure out where to put it. I think there's so much. I hear people all the time, people come and say, where can I have the most impact? Where can I do the most good? And sometimes people that have money, whether it's a lot of money or even just a small amount of money they want to give, feel paralyzed by that because there's so much need and there's so many different things they could give to. And so there's this whole world that exists to help people find those opportunities, whether they're giving tens of millions or whether they're giving $10.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Well, along those lines, since we're kind of talking about um, the good, doing the good. I was lucky in Atlanta. I got to
Oh
see
God.
you and I got to meet your beautiful mom. And her name's Mindy, and she's sweet. And Brenda has a little picture she's gonna pull up. She was so proud of you. And she joined the book club that night. And she was so excited for this. So, hi, Mindy. Thank you for joining and thank you for watching us. But that same night, it was amazing event. I could listen to you talk forever. I feel like we could totally do part two. But one of the things I want to make sure we get in before we run out of time is that same night you passed out a card that said, let's do something great because we all could do something great in our lives as well. So, could you explain what this is to those who weren't lucky enough to see you in
Man,
person?
I sure can. Thank you for that shout out. My mom, Mindy, is having a big birthday this weekend, so
Oh,
everybody can wish her
nice.
happy birthday in the chat. Um,
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Birthday, mom. So, there was no way that I was going to use the opportunity of going on this amazing book tour that I got to do. And how fun was that Atlanta event, Lisa? I mean, it was
It was
so
so much
great.
fun.
I was related to half of the people that were sitting in the crowd. Christina Arjona, who was my conversation partner, was so brilliant and just like
She's
great.
amazing.
It was truly like it might have been my favorite event of my whole book tour, actually, the Atlanta one. I just love it.
Yay.
Oh,
And I won cookies.
And you bought cookies.
Oh,
So it was just that was a really special one. But there was no way that I was gonna go on this crazy book tour that I did. I was gone forever. Like I did so many different events. I think I did about 30 different events all in across the US and UK, and not use it as an opportunity to share with people some of the amazing work that's being done by nonprofits that I love, because that would not be in the spirit of Lucia at all to not use it as an opportunity to kind of highlight some of this. So I had these little cards made up. That QR code, I think it still works, maybe. It may not work. If it doesn't work, that's okay because I can point you guys in the right direction of the site. But the QR code took people to an easy site where I had about 6 different nonprofits that I was amplifying what they were doing and helping fundraise for throughout the book tour. So I chose organizations that both I loved and you did great work, but also that felt like they were the kind of organizations Lucia would want to support. So organizations that were supporting women, communities, immigrants, people in need of support across the US and the world. And just giving people an opportunity to give in a way that they could if they wanted to, if they felt motivated to do something great. There's like a misconception that to the only way to kind of do good and help nonprofits function is to give them these huge gifts like the donors in the book. But actually, most nonprofits exist on small amounts of money that they get every month from people, like in a direct debit, donations that they get from regular people. And we're entering the season of giving now. So now is a great time as ever to find somebody fantastic. And I'll post this actually in the Facebook group, the link to the different nonprofits, but it's organizations like Boderistas, Americans for Immigrant Justice, Justice for Migrant Women, Global Giving's Community Aid Fund, just really phenomenal organizations who could use a little bit of help. And the best thing about giving is that not only do you do some good, but you feel really good after you do it. It is just everybody feels good. If you ever read that book for kids about filling your bucket, like giving to someone fills everybody's bucket in the best possible way. So they feel good, you
Mhm.
feel good, you've put some good in the world. So yeah, she's all about doing something great. And the tour definitely helped bring people together around that, I think.
oh,
Yay.
I
Thank
love that you
you.
included.
Yeah, that was special. That was really special.
Thank
Well,
you.
I want to ask about another little bonus before we say goodbye tonight because I
No,
noticed,
no, I
and
never
this
want
is
to
not the
leave.
question I know.
No,
What?
really.
I never want to leave. We'll stay on for another hour. Who
Oh,
needs sleep? Not me.
and all night. But in your book club kit, you mentioned that if readers like Susan Lucia want a bit of naughty romance, that you happen to have a copy of Tilly Willington's latest romp. So tell us about that.
Hmm. Because I really like making things difficult for myself. I just sort of I commit. This is what I do. If you've read my What If Year, this is like my absolute MO, is that I like commit to something before I've fully thought it through and have time to convince myself that it's a bad idea. Because that's exactly what happened to this. I was like, oh, I want to promote pre-orders for the book. I'm gonna tell everybody that they'll get an exclusive Tilly Wellington story. And then actually had to do it because people pre-ordered the book. So, I love a naughty romance. Like, I just really do. I read voraciously. I read a lot of different types of things. I'll read a literary fiction every once in a while, but like a dirty romance novel just sometimes is what you need in the moment.
Yep.
That's what we'll read for our Valentine's Day 5 a.m. pajama party. Like
Yes.
you need it, you need it. So,
Heard it
And we
here
circle right
first.
back around.
exactly. So I decided to go all in, all in. So if anybody would like, I'm happy to share Slow and Steady, which is the first four chapters of the next Tilly Willington classic. It's about a race car driver who's been brokenhearted. Can she find true love and also win the F1 Cup? I forgot what it is I give her. It involved a lot of research about F1 and a lot of getting over my inherent prudishness to write these sex scenes like the kind that you see in the book. And the rule is if you read it, you can never talk to me about it because I can't do a book club for
It would
that.
be me. I would be like,
My glasses are steaming up having this conversation. It's just too much. So, Slow and Steady is available in PDF to anybody who wants it. Please never talk to me about the very All right, Lisa, you can get it. Anybody can have it.
My cheeks hurt from smiling so hard.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
was
effect.
fun.
That's
It
that's
was
the
a real
effect you
challenge
have
though.
on people, though, Alicia. Because when I left the Atlanta event, my cheeks hurt too.
Oh, good.
all right,
That's
I'm going to go
good.
with a safer. I'm going to go with a safer, innocuous question.
Oh, good.
Is it tea or coffee these days?
Oh
Okay, so
yes.
So this cup had tea in it, as a matter of fact. But if I was drinking coffee at midnight, I think you should worry about me, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, that could be the time.
Coffee is my true love. I have coffee in the morning. I have my cappuccino. I have two sugars in it. Like Lucia, I have been to coffee shops where they won't serve you sugar and have to bring my own sugar in the purse. I need to put that little jibe in
Oh
there.
my
Important to
gosh.
me.
So that
I
is
get so
a
mad when
UK
people do
thing.
that. I'm like, just let me have my sugar in peace. But I have come to love and accept and find some joy in an afternoon tea. I will usually afternoon, I will switch to tea. I like an English breakfast with milk. I don't put any sugar in that. So if I had to choose one, coffee 100% of the way. But I have come to love tea in my many, many years of living in this country as I adapt to being a little bit British.
Well, you guys, while we're doing our wrap-up questions, let us know in the chat if you're a coffee or tea person. I'm a tea person. I like coffee, but I'm not a I have to drink coffee every day kind of person. It's like, oh, I might have a mocha frap or something, but I'm a matcha, green tea. I'm a tea person. I drink tea every day. Maybe I'm a little bit British too on the
You
inside.
are.
The inside.
Brenda, what about you?
I am definitely not a coffee person. I don't drink tea daily, but I don't drink any coffee. I love the smell of it, but somehow it just doesn't match up to me when I taste it.
I think we're gonna be the oddballs, Brenda. We'll see. We've got a lot of coffee coming up in the chat. But another thing we want to make sure that we ask you is, can you share what you're working on now, what your next project is?
Yes, I would love to. Well, so I am currently on submission with a novel called Two Places at Once. Um, it has some saucy.
Ooh.
I put some saucier scenes in this one.
Ooh.
After writing Slow and Steady, it's not too saucy, but it is the story of a super busy, overstressed CEO, mother of teenage twins. She lives in Miami. She runs a very high profile beauty and well-being self-care company. Her husband is out of work. Her mother is constantly on a cruise and sleeping with everybody she can get her hands on. And she's about to enter the busiest period of the year, Halloween through New Year's, Momageddon, the apocalypse for every mother when you just have a million things to do. And she finds out about a super secret startup that allows you to create a double of yourself, kind of like a clone, for that short period of time between Halloween and New Year's to help you with your mental and physical and emotional load of your life. And things don't go as planned. So it was the most
Oh,
fun I've ever had writing anything. Like, is just so fun. So I hope that book is going to get published
Yay.
and I can come back on Friends and Fiction and talk to you guys about it.
Yes.
yay.
And then I'm doing some screenwriting. These little cards behind me, I hear are important for the screenwriting process. So I've actually been working on some screenplay type
Very
stuff just
cool.
to stretch a new muscle and have a little bit of fun with that.
That's awesome. Yay.
That
Oh,
is
I'm excited.
amazing.
That sounds good. And I'm excited for the Okay, so the chat is like, we all need the PDF. Everyone wants the
Okay.
PDF. But I think, I don't know, it's so strange. It's like coffee, tea, tea, coffee, tea. It's pretty split. It's like for every coffee, there's a
It
tea.
doesn't seem like that when you're out in public. It seems
Yeah,
like
it
so
seems
many
like
people are
coffee.
coffee
All
drinkers.
coffee.
Yeah.
But
But
now you can't throw a sticker on the UK without finding all these matcha. Like matcha is the new thing here. Like matcha everything. All these matcha cafes, matcha restaurants. It's so
oh,
popular.
I love matcha.
You got to come over.
But
At least you're gonna find your
I
home here.
know. I need to come
Yeah.
visit. Maybe I'll meet a British man
There you
and
go.
have a nanny.
I thought that was gonna happen,
I
and
don't
I
have a
ended up with
kid,
a
but
Cuban Venezuelan from the family that was introduced to me by my grandmother. So all of my plans went horribly awry. I was supposed to meet like a lord or an earl or someone with a title, and I ended up with my grandmother's best friend's grandson. So so much for that.
well, you just put Lord in front of his name, and
Yeah, Lord Carla. I
that's
know.
it.
One day he'll be knighted, and it'll all have been worth it.
Oh, that's great. Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Okay, well, this was the most fun I've had after midnight in a really long time.
Can say the same, even though it's not midnight here.
I was gonna
But I
say, me
can't believe
too.
it's 3 minutes past time, but we don't want to let you go, but we know that you probably should, so
I
you
need to
can
go
go
to
to
bed.
bed.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Can I like post a PDF in the Facebook group?
Yeah.
Can I just share? Okay.
Sure.
Mhm.
Well, get ready, everybody. It's coming your way.
At least you can post the link to it. I'm not sure you can post it
Oh, okay, I'll
directly.
do that. I'll
Yeah,
upload it and I'll post the link. I'll do that.
that would be awesome. And thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys. This was
taking the
so fun.
time. And we love this book, of course. But I
We
have to
certainly
say,
Amazing.
do.
Thank you for supporting and telling your friends. I'm so, 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 so grateful. And I'm just was completely honored to be asked. And it lived
we
up to all my very high expectations tonight. So thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
thank you. We love this, but I also have to say, if you have not read this, go out and get it. This book is amazing, and you will just love Alicia even more than you already do if you after this night and this book. So get them both,
I agree.
and
I mean, I think so too.
I mean,
Love it.
it's so awesome. One's a memoir, one's a novel, and they're both amazing.
Phenomenal.
Thank you
Yep,
guys so much.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
we hope you can wind down a little bit tonight after this, but we thank you
Never
so
gonna
much
happen.
for joining us. We loved someone's got to give
Oh,
and can't wait for the
Thank
next
you,
one.
everybody. I'm so grateful to you. Have a wonderful night.
You
Thanks. You
too.
too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was so much fun.
She is so fun. and just a delight. Like, she's so fun. I loved her. And this book, I never thought, like you mentioned, I never, like, so we had so many comments and people say to us before tonight's discussion that they love the topic, they love the story, they love the topic. And typically when we have book club discussions, people are like, "Oh, I love this part," or "I love this," like topic usually
Yes.
isn't the buzzword of what everyone loves, but
Hmm.
it just goes to show you there's not much in detail about this type of job in this industry, and it's so
Right.
interesting.
It's all kind of behind the curtain.
Yeah,
And
it was
yeah,
like we
it
were
was
peeking
nice.
behind the curtains. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to get a glimpse of it and to think more about how those decisions are made. So in that sense, it was, that was a real serious topic, but you overlay all the other kind of crazy stuff that happens. I mean, the whole and I we could talk another hour about this, but the whole the conference in the
Yeah.
exotic island, it was just so crazy that all
Yeah.
these super rich people were going there to just talk about, you know, giving.
Right, right. And you're like, yeah, it was so good. And I'm so grateful that she took the time out of her night. But speaking of nights and speaking of books, we have our next book club discussion, which will be on December 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is, which someone in the chat mentioned that they loved seeing the book behind you, The Secret Christmas Library with Jenny Colgan. And she is also calling in from Scotland. And before we went
Isn't that
live
fun?
tonight, I know we had no idea. We didn't know when we had Alisha and then when we got Jenny, we had no idea. And before we went live tonight, Alicia shared with us that she sees Jenny quite a few times and they work on either a board or it was a book festival that they both work on the same book festival together. And we were like, small world. She's coming on next month. So
That's
this
right.
is our book for December 15th. It's timely. We're super excited. And but you don't have to wait that long to hang out with us because we have two other opportunities before then. With the
That's right.
first one being this Thursday night, we are going to be doing our annual tradition of Friendsgiving. And for those that are new, Friendsgiving is our only event that we do not stream live. It is a big Zoom party where we just catch up. We talk about our traditions, our holiday plans. We have special guests pop in sometimes. And it's really just a fun night for us all to get along and hang out. And so that is this Friday, or I'm sorry, it is this Thursday, November 20th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But you do have to register. So Brenda has the event link on the Facebook page. If you click into that, you can register to join the Zoom if you're available. And you can hang out with us live. It's going to be great. You can share a recipe, have a cocktail or a mocktail, and it's always a fun time.
Have some surprises. You never know. But if you're looking for it on the page, you go to the event page and look for that event, and the registration link will be in the description. And then we wrap up December with a happy hour with our fabulous friend and rock star librarian Ron Block, December 4th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And he is going to be getting the secret guest. So we will be surprised again in December.
And he's
And
already
that's,
rubbing it in.
I know, he totally is. Well, he doesn't get that many opportunities. So
Yeah. We tried to get him to tell us and he won't. He hasn't caved.
We're still going to keep trying to trip them up, though, so you never know. But on that happy hour, that's going to be a big happy hour because we will not only unveil our January, February, and March picks for the book club, we will unveil the reading challenge prompts for 2026. So join us then to get the first scoop on our picks and the reading challenge. I am so excited.
I know. I mean, just hearing you say the reading challenge for 2026, like, can you believe that we're like 6 weeks out, maybe? So I don't know, but
No,
we're
I cannot. I still think
time
it's
has flown
July,
by.
sort of
I
inside.
know. I'm like, it's crazy. But yes, that'll be a really great. It's our last happy hour of the year, and it's going to be so wonderful. So definitely join us, and also join us this Thursday for Friendsgiving. And I think we've held everyone long enough.
I think
They're
so
probably
too.
tired of seeing our faces at this point.
So, on that note of being tired of our faces, I will say thanks for watching and happy reading.
Happy reading, and PB&J out.